pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Notice of this meeting was given in advance thereof by publishing one time in the Keith County News and posting at the City Administration Building as shown by the certificate of posting notice. Notice of this meeting was simultaneously given to the president and all members of the council. Availability of the agenda was communicated in the advance notice and the notice to the president and council of this meeting. All proceedings hereafter will be taken when this convened meeting is open to the attendance of the public. This meeting is being convened in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the southeast corner of the council chambers. Please sign the sign-in sheet located on the table by members of the press. Any person wishing to address the council will do so by standing. When you're recognized, please go to the podium, state your name and the organization, interest, or person you represent before you begin speaking. Thank you. Roll call.
Lot.
Here.
Dupierre.
Here.
Holstein.
Here.
Kraske.
Here.
Lappin.
Here. We have nothing on the consent agenda, no public hearing tonight. And under public forum, we have the Chamber of Commerce Rendezvous Square Agreement.
I'm Lana Shaw. I serve as board president for Keith County Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Shauna Bastemeyer, vice president for the same chamber.
We are before you all today. We wanted to come and speak with regard to the Rendezvous Square agreement that the city has with the Keith County Chamber of Commerce. Essentially, what we were coming before you all for was just to look at a potential amendment on point 3A, the first and third sentences of the existing agreement. So within those two sentences, it outlines the breakdown of the budgeted $20,000 for Rendezvous Square and those services. The first piece that we wanted to bring before you all was the request for an amendment to shift money from the promotion and event side to the administration of this agreement. The agreement entails the chamber to handle all requests for use of Rendezvous Square, contracts, handling pieces with like farmers market is an example of one, coordinating with them, making sure that we have notified local businesses when we have to close. Anyone who parks in there and the buildings in the vicinity of, we take care of notification anytime that that's being closed, as well as when the chamber has events or if someone opts to rent the space of Rendezvous Square. So on that side, essentially, that's one bucket. And the other bucket alludes to the events and activities that the chamber hosts within Rendezvous Square. Right now, the entirety of that 12-month agreement for the chamber to manage those pieces comes at a rate of $2,000 for the chamber. That comes out to less than $200 a month for the chamber to maintain those responsibilities. What we are requesting is that the $2,000 is increased to $4,000. And then based on what has been spent in the past few years, we would have $16,000 for the promotion of events as well as entertainment at Rendezvous Square.
So just a reallocation basically of $2,000 from one to the other.
Yep, to stay within the budget and also in an attempt to just make it more reasonable for the chamber to maintain this agreement. When our board of directors has gone through the employee time that we pay in order to do the coordination of events, scheduling specifically for Sounds on the Square, as well as just the notification inquiries, handling different pieces for the farmers market, doing notification to businesses, that side alone, just for the management of the square and the use of it within the community, less than $200 a month really doesn't put a dent in the employee time that we're allocating toward those tasks.
And then you wanted clarification on one other piece,
Yes.
can you,
Yeah, so aside from that first piece, when we look at the overall budget and allocation of the $20,000 that the city sets aside for this, we also wanted to just clarify the wording within the current agreement. There are oftentimes interpretations or feelings on what the agreement is saying. But when our board of directors went through the agreement as it stands right now, we just wanted to get clarity that exactly as it is articulated within the agreement is how we are able to take instruction. The wording within the agreement outlines that this money is intended to assist the chamber in the promotion and development of community activities at Rendezvous Square. Not specifically Sounds on the Square. The past many years, it's been handled that the only expenses that would be approved from that $18,000 would be specifically tied to Sounds on the Square and no other periods of time or events that are held at Rendezvous Square. So we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with the fact that the contract is with the intent of just supporting the chamber, being able to do events at the square, whether it's trunk or treat at Halloween, Sounds on the Square, or any other community event or activity that really fosters that sense of community entertainment development in downtown.
Mr. President, this makes no budgetary impact. Just a clarification of the contract. We have met with the chamber executive team, Councilman Block and I. I'm in support of, that's something we don't want to do, certainly.
I got an idea. I mean, why couldn't we do a contract similar to KCAD? That we do with
Yeah.
the chamber. You get $20,000 a year. Here's your scope of work that we expect you to do. And included in that compensation is the Rendezvous Square.
Yeah.
And you maintain it, you take care of it, you hang the curtains, it's your job. We don't have to deal with sending our parks guys or street guys down there. You just take care of it.
I think that long-term, we would like to get to that point, and not even long-term. Once we get past this contract that is in front of you all, that it goes into effect May 1st. I think we would need to look at an adjustment of dates and compiling the pieces that you guys financially support the chamber within, both the general request that we make to you all, as well as this agreement. If we could merge those into one, that would obviously be cleaner on our side as well. And just level set what your expectations are when you're supporting the chamber. Our mission really is to support community and small business efforts. So for the time being though, and with this contract coming up May 1st, we did want to address this one because it seems it would fall within the current budget year, and centralizing the agreement would be something that would be good to address for this coming budget year.
Well, I think it'd be a lot easier for both of us, so
Yes.
you don't have to give us, all the invoices and prove up your claims and whatever. You just get a set amount, here's what we expect you to do. When the next budget year rolls around, that's
Yeah,
where the rubber meets the road.
we would agree.
we actually talked about that after the fact, but we didn't want to bring that up for this because we wanted to get this cleaned up first.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to hear the rest of the council's opinion on that.
Why not?
I mean, let's just make it simpler. And that's what Kevin tried to do with KCAD too, and that seems to be working well.
More effective.
It's a no-brainer.
It's,
I mean,
I don't think we need to babysit them.
no,
no. But you know what, if we don't like what you're doing,
Yeah.
or you take a retreat to Hawaii, you probably won't get funded. You probably won't get funded the next year. So, and that's the level. So,
Yeah.
if everybody's okay with that, then Kevin, can you just,
I'll get this amendment
With
with
Mike.
agreement.
and
get it
then
signed.
I would continue to work with the chamber on getting a contract prepared to replace this.
We'll work on that for the next budgetary cycle.
And that was all we had.
That's all we got.
Appreciate your time. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Moving on, under community development, we have Keith County Area Development. Western Trails Creative District.
Hi,
Hello.
Molly Jeffries, Keith County Area Development.
Take that, Molly.
KCAD Molly, I'm handing out my packet for this discussion and then for the community update too, so I don't do it twice. So I don't really know how we go about this, if this is like a voting matter or not, but we're just asking the city for permission to place some sculpture pads around different places that the city owns. So before I get started, I just want to share, Gentry Welsh made this logo for the creative district on the front page. This will be made into stickers and go into creative businesses that are, windows of creative businesses that, are a part of the creative district, so we're really excited about that. On your first page here, we have, these are all the sculptures that we are planning for the 2025, sculpture, walk across Nebraska. We are in partnership with 5 other communities that started this. Their logo is also on the front of the page here, Swan, Sculpture Walk Across Nebraska. So the ones that we are looking for placement for the city property would be this first one, the football player here is called Hey Mary Lou by Lee Looning and Sherry Treby. Then Windows Through the Eye of the Future is right next to that. It's this little black swirly thing. And the other one we're looking for the public would be, I guess that's it. We have 3 options of where we could do the sculpture placement, but we're only looking for 2 spots. So the next page is our base examples and what they're going to look like. Every artist is required to ensure their piece, but KCAD is also covered with liability insurance for the bases. So if somebody knocks their teeth out on the base, for example, we are covered for that. And then, so the next page is getting down to the meat of the discussion. We have found a couple of different locations where we would like to see these sculptures. The first one, Windows to the Future Life, by Gideon Nyanhongo would, ideally, we'd like to place that at the western entrance of the alleyway pocket park. So that type of sculpture, it's about this tall, 32 inches, so it would require a sculpture base that is 30 by 30 inches tall. So it would be approximately yay. And it would be out of traffic. Ideally, it would be on that red stamped concrete diamond there. So that's one place that we'd like to put that. Another one would be Hey Mary Lou. The picture here is of the west parking lot that's west of Driftwood. And we would be required to tear out some vegetation there to place that. So that's an idea. And then another alternative location would be either side of Rendezvous Square, kind of tucked away out of walking traffic. And I had a little field trip today, and I noticed that the base or the bump out that is city parking or city owned, but it's the one that is the vape store. So the bump out that has the tree and the vegetation to place it in there. That way it would be totally out of traffic view, but traffic going to the lake would be able to see it and say, oh, look at that. They have nice sculpture there. So that would be another idea. If there are any issues with these placements, please let us know. We're just asking for approval of this before we discuss, other questions for the city.
I think one thing to consider though on the one on the alleyway is just we'd have to talk.
Okay,
Cause I know fire department was pretty vocal with making sure everything was movable in case they have to get a fire, something through that area in
Sure.
case of a fire.
yes.
And I'm not for sure how easy that is to move for them, so we might touch base with them first, at least on that area.
Good call. All of these sculpture pads are semi-permanent. They can be moved, they can be lifted. I don't know if they could in an emergency willy-nilly, but, they're not totally permanent. So if it didn't work out for 1 year, then we can move it to the next one, because we plan on adding an additional sculpture pad, an additional sculpture every year until we have 12 sculpture sites.
Personally, sorry, I was gonna say, I don't have an issue with it, it just, I said, as long as fire department says yea or nay, that'd be the only big one.
You know, I do recall when we were first
Just
looking at that,
Yep.
they said, don't, you can put whatever you want there, but if we need in, they're just
They'll-
gonna,
Push it out of the
They'll plow
way.
it out of the way.
it'll get plowed
I
out
know
and
about
probably
You guys.
demolished.
Do the sculptures have a removal date or they stay indefinitely?
No, they do not. Good question. They are, they move
Yeah.
annually.
Okay.
So we would get Gideon's sculpture this year, but we might not get it next year. It may move to a different location. That's the intention of the sculpture walk across Nebraska, is to sell these works of art. And so every time that there is a sculpture piece that's sold, a percentage of that sale goes back into the program so that we can continue adding on sculptures as we go. So we rent the sculptures for a year. Each artist gets $1,000 for their rental. And then there's like a kind of like a a fantasy draft, I guess, of the sculpture placement for the next year within the 6 communities that are participating.
Bump out on East Day, that may be under control and part of the road.
Well, there's a line of sight issue that I have to look at.
Yeah.
Cause we already have kind of a line of sight issue on that with that tree, and then when the red pickup was parked there, it was a common complaint, concern.
Yep.
But I have met with, and done some of the walk, and most of these were able to maintain the 48-inch ADA compliant clearance and.
Yeah, we wouldn't just stick them out and. I mean, we'd want people to see them, but not in a way that it would be dangerous or unsafe. Just a little more culture in the downtown area.
I think you can work with Paul and come up with some place to put them.
I like the idea though.
I was not aware of the fire department, fire access issue on the alleyway. We did talk about the 2 posts, and I said we need those posts there. Because there needs to be reflective barriers to make sure that people didn't assume that was a drivable alley and pull off of the highway and head down and run over.
Those posts easily come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and probably legal counsel would need to review this agreement before.
Yeah, and this agreement is, it's a draft and it's an example, and it doesn't even, I think I still have the senior center up in, for when I first requested it. Hi, hello, this is Mary Jensen. She's a part of the Western Trails Creative District. Randy Fair is currently under advice, he's had this contract for a while, and, I'm presenting to the, Keith County Commissioners tomorrow, so hopefully Randy will have any edits or anything he needs made, to this agreement. We whipped this up with ChatGPT. Just wanted to have something basically saying that the property owner has nothing. All they need to do is to allow us to use the property. We'll do the install, we'll put in the sculpture pad. We're gonna ask, and I did talk to Kevin about this, but I don't know how possible it is if the city, parks or street departments would be willing to help with the welding of the installation of the sculptures. If not, we have alternatives that we can look at. And then that was the other question that we had.
Do you suggest that we get someone from the fire department and someone from the police station, I mean, and just show the sites because of those things?
Mary, I think the only one that's really in question is the access to the alleyway.
Yep.
The rest of them would be
In
fine.
terms of corner line of sight, I mean, I can take a visual of that, just once, we'll just go walk and see where you wanna place it. If it's in the actual planter, kind of out towards the curb, that's probably gonna be an issue.
Okay, the mansion on the hill might be the other one, is that the city's?
That is not the cities, but you may want, if you're concerned about placement as it relates to width compliance, walkability, or line of sight, either Brandon and I can, or one of the police officers can go
I think that's a problem.
take a look.
So,
You would,
or the mansion on the hill,
Oh.
it's back off in the.
right,
So,
so it would not be. a
would not be a problem,
No.
so.
Line of sight, quarter triangles are generally at intersections.
Kevin, did you have an issue with, you don't have an issue with helping them do the welding and stuff, do you?
I really don't have, I mean, Brandon is a welder, but
I don't think we have the equipment,
we don't have
We don't have the
the,
equipment.
not a portable well.
we don't have a portable welder.
We'll
So,
figure it out.
Brandon might have a portable welder, so.
Unit
Molly might be-
24 does.
Yeah. And Levi Peterson and the guy that's gonna be developing, I think he could help us too, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd ask since we're here.
We've kind of, North Platte, their city department kind of helps them put in the bases and does the welding, but they haven't been doing.
I don't think we have the equipment.
Okay.
And if you could, like, when we get ready to sign the contract, if you could have an attachment with a map showing the locations
Oh, yeah,
where that would be. So,
easy peasy.
Especially since it's only two right now.
Yeah, it's only two, just Hey Mary Lou and Windows to the Eyes of the Future or whatever. So the Key County Senior Center will get the rooster sculpture in front of their building. Regenerate is the kind of stalk of wheat thing. It's actually an 8-foot tall sculpture, but that will go in their rose bush area at the county courthouse. Feather will go to Pinnacle Bank, and so that's the, yeah, that one right there. It's kind of like a stained glass thing, and then Saturday's Distraction, the boy reading a book, will go to Second Chapter Brewing.
And then the farmer and the plow will go up to Mansion on the hill.
and Sunrise Serenade,
That's the rooster one, that's gonna go in front of the senior center.
oh, we already had one, Little Jerry's.
Yeah.
They're just gonna have them all over. We love our roosters, I guess.
Yeah, hey.
The other thing is all these sculptures will have a little barcode on it that people can hook up to AutoCAD and visitors coming to the community can listen to who the artist is.
Who
So
the artist is and the,
8 eyes.
what the piece is about.
I would have. no problem.
they're all art.
Looks nice, ladies. Thank you.
Great.
All right, moving on to the report of the city clerk treasurer. We have a minutes of regular meeting held February 25th, 2025.
I've moved to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held February 25th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Block, and second by Councilman Holstein to approve the minutes. There's no discussion. Could council please vote?
5 yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on, under recommendations of departments, boards, and committees, we have the airport. Oh, you do?
Oh, second page.
Oh, buried up there. Oh, we do have a financial report, February 2025.
Okay, so for the month ended February 28th, 2025, the revenues for the month were $1,012,090.77. Expenses for the month were $674,151.86. Fiscal year-to-date revenues have been $4,788,148.94. And fiscal year-to-date expenses are $5,264,641.03. With 58% of the fiscal year remaining, the proprietary funds have 92% of their budgeted revenue remaining, the governmental funds have 70%. And the internal service funds have 65% of their budget revenue remaining. And on the expense side, the proprietary funds have 92% of their budget expenses remaining, the governmental funds have 71%. And the internal service funds have 35% of their budget expenses remaining. Fiscal year to date, the city has received $374,758.26 from franchise fees. $16,977.22 from telephone occupation taxes. And $60,425.51 from hotel occupation taxes. Which includes short-term rentals. Do you have any questions?
And our LB 840 account has a balance of an unencumbered balance. Is that correct? Or is it just receipts you have there?
That's
Just the receipts? 109,000 in receipts and
It's about 100-ish thousand.
about 100-ish. Okay, that's where I was.
Do you want me to start reporting
No.
on that unencumbered
Yeah.
balance monthly? I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks good, Jane. See any red flags anywhere?
I'm having a rough time with our medical benefit account, but that just happens some years.
Yeah.
We might get to the point where we're gonna have to put a little more in with the general fund.
All right, that does not require any action by the council, so. Now we're moving on to recommendations, to departments, boards and committees under the airport. We're adopting and approving the execution of an agency agreement with Nebraska Department of Transportation Division of Aeronautics for project number 331-0061017-025 for the development of the airport. And this will be resolution 2262.
Mr. President, this is, this keeps us moving forward with the runway 26 reconstruction. Just as a note, we've been informed by Nebraska Department of Division of Aeronautics that under the continuing resolution that they're anticipating it's gonna be approved on Friday, that the congressional designated spending for Cyril has been removed. So that does not necessarily mean that we won't be getting federal funds. But I would recommend moving forward with these documents as we continue to iron out the impacts of our federal partners on this project.
What year is this project start construction?
2026 is when we start, with a completion of 2027, I believe. But we were hustling to get it under that congressional designated spending. I did this, what's happening in on the federal level right now, I think is gonna throw off our timelines. And will force us to re-examine some of the budget allocations once we get into refining the bid documents.
Okay.
We are preliminarily discussing, rather than white topping, asphalting, to see if asphalt would make any fiscal savings. Right now, it's not looking to be a measurable enough savings. It's one of those things, if you go asphalt, you know, what's the value of that compared to the life cycle of white topping?
So let me ask you this, if we don't get the funding, if the state budget gets cut back. And we just continue to do a patch and repair on the runways. Are we at risk of the airport shutting down?
Right now, 826, the cracking is in the joints. We keep the FOD swept. As long as we can maintain our state inspections, which we have, the airport will remain open. At some point, though, if the FAA doesn't fund us, then it removes the federal obligation from the airport, and then we'll just have to meet state standards.
So they'll continue to inspect us, but they won't assist us in funding to bring it to their standards. You can go ahead and say.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do know to defederalize the airport, I think we have to go 20 years without accepting any additional FAA funds, if we should ever desire to defederalize the airport.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, but,
Well, for example, Julesburg has defederalized their airport and they maintain it to a different standard. Then that's why they have drag races on it.
gotta keep moving forward while we can.
I would introduce resolution 2262 and move for its adoption.
A resolution adopting and approving the execution of an agency agreement with the Nebraska Department of Transportation Division of Aeronautics for project number 331-0061-017-025 to be submitted by the Department to the Federal Aviation Administration to obtain federal assistance for the development of the airport. Sir, a second.
Second.
We have an introduction by Councilman Lavin, a second by Councilman Block. If there's no further discussion, could the council please vote?
Yes.
Resolution. Are we 2262 or 2262? Resolution 2262 is adopted. This is a side note. Back in the day, I remember there were cracks in the runway big enough that tires would fall into them. I mean, they were like that big.
I've walked the length of 826 on both sides. I mean, yes, there's some crumbling within I mean, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna fall off the bottom. There's significant cracking on the west end. But that's just right at the very end of the approach.
Moving on, under community development, Keith County Area Development Quarterly Update. K. Molly.
I like that name.
Yeah.
Kevin started it. Okay, before I get started, I just want to say, what I shared with you was a February update that we share with our board. This is my first time doing a quarterly update, and so I went back and I was like, oh, we're missing this and that, and all the things that have happened since Mary came and presented at the end of November. So there may be some things that I'm gonna share that are not in the packet, so just warning. So I wanted to start with our staffing update. As most of you know, Mary Wilson is on maternity leave, and she has been since December 16th. So that has been tough. We really miss having Mary in the office as much as she was before. But she has continued to help us with difficult discussions because she's cared so much about the progress of the projects that she's spearheaded and the community. So I just wanted to say that for the record. Stacy Namath, our office assistant of the past 3 years, has retired. Her last day was January 31st. And we have onboarded Gentry Welsh, who has been an amazing asset to KCAD. She's kind of elevated us to a whole nother level when it comes to spreading the word, getting out more social media updates, just more, spreading the word of what kind of projects and stuff we're doing. So we're very, very fortunate to have Gentry in the office. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the office update. Our business retention and expansion visits, will be inputted organically. Last year, we inputted all of them online, so that was very seamless. So Mid Plains Community College and KCAD reached out to JAG through the high school, which stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. We're wanting to, create some type of program, to maybe do, a presentation to the students, trying to encourage more, students to be interested in entrepreneurship, but since recently we just found out that JAG will no longer be at the high school, so we're working with trying to figure that out. We have had 2 progressive business groups out at Mid Plains Community College. And Gentry Welsh did the first one to build a brand identity for your small business. We had Jamie Weingart of Maximizing the Employee Experience. Both were well attended and the presenters were astounding. Our next one is next week on Thursday, positioning your business for success with Sharon Hazelhoff of Elite Casino and Resorts. So far, we have 41 people registered for that, which is the most that we've ever had. So a lot of people are interested in listening to Sharon. And then we also will have digital marketing strategies for success this summer with Lana Shaw from Adams Bank, marketing director. Just a few touches on small business focus. Our Grow Nebraska grant application portal will be reopening on March 31st. At 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I have 18 applicants from Keith County that plan to apply for it as soon as it opens. Because after there are 60 applicants for the entire state, they will close the portal again. So really pushing our small businesses to apply so they can take advantage of that opportunity. Business and industry recruitment. We recently had 2 potentially interested applicants in LB 840. Our last revolving loan fund that we took out with the KCAD revolving loan fund closed on December 31st. We currently have 55,000 available if anyone would like to take advantage of that. Moving on to Senator Stroman paid us a visit at KCAD. We had a meeting with some city and county officials, Central Nebraska Public Power District, and Game and Parks to talk about finding funds through legislation to improve roads out of the lake. Senator Stroman has also started with KCAD. We're going to have a Perkins County Canal discussion at NACO on March 21st from 1 to 3. I encourage any and all of you to register for that. We have registration available. You can give me a call at KCAD, or there is a link that's available on our last Flowdesk email that we submitted. Community development, first impressions, recent quality of place projects. We are going to do the hanging baskets. They will be planted on April 8th at 10 a.m. And then for our wayfinding and branding, we recently had a meeting on February 13th, working on a pricing and phasing schedule. So that's moving along. We will be sending out a survey asking for feedback soon about that to focus on which phase is the most important for the community to tackle first. Is it interstate signage out for Keith County? Is it our highways? Is it a signage that's within the communities? So we'll be asking for feedback on that. Windy Gap, the first of Paxton has been the focus for first impressions projects since last year. We have a meeting tomorrow and we're looking for bids from an electrician, a concrete pourer, to install a antique light, lamppost project. So that's what we're working on there. We have had some amazing progress with our creative district. We received the $100,000 development grant. And we also were approved for, the Visitors Community Grant for $50,000. We will use these funds to leverage with, our local foundations and anybody else that would be willing to donate to the creative district in its entirety, not just our sculpture walk, though that is a priority. There's several other projects that we want to focus on, so really excited to get that news. It's amazing. So going back to Gentry, she's doing our communications, PR work and our improving our digital presence. She has been doing social media campaigns and flow desk emails, trying to spread the word about what KCAD does. She's been updating our website, just improving our digital everything. So she has been amazing. Yeah, her design work, she did the logos and the stickers. She created the middle school project community meeting flyers. She's been awesome. Another huge thing that has happened under housing development, Keith County Housing Development Corporation received another 500,000 of our rural workforce housing funds in January. So now we have $1.6 million to be used for 0% interest construction loans. So that sparked a lot of interest. We have 2 new applications, 1 moving forward. And we're just monitoring our other projects, making sure that everything goes well with that. We have 2 homes complete with the Flansburgh subdivision. I believe 2 more are being built now. And then we are working with Big Red Development to have the old middle school building being turned into 44 low to moderate income apartment units. Also with our Housing Incentive Growth Fund, we have 3 new applications that have been submitted, so in approving those for our housing board meeting on Thursday this week. Feel free to ask questions.
Is that all?
I'll try to answer them. I'm not married.
Amazing.
One thing on your website, the changes won't be effective till, I can't remember the date.
Later this spring.
Yeah, later this spring.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, she's doing a lot of behind the scenes and then she hides them so that when she's all done with updating everything, she can open it up and have this big, beautiful, amazing thing. It hopefully will look similar to the visitors committee website, or be able to link beautifully with that. Gentry doing it, and I'm sure it will be.
No, Molly, you're not married, but you're amazing. I mean, what you do there is amazing as well. So I think you guys make a phenomenal team out there. What you guys are able to do for the community is always, top.
Thanks.
I would second that. And another thing that I think you need to tout a little bit, is all the grants you write. You
Yeah.
go above and beyond. I mean, you write a lot of grants and are a good resource for writing that grant. Am I wrong?
Well, no, you're not.
And just, I know Kevin knows this is because especially with him now being liaison is the amount of stuff that filters through their office that you don't even see is astounding. So
Exactly.
it's just like anything that you go for. You got a million things on your desk and you throw it all at the wall and you hope a few things stick. But you still have to give every single one of those focus and attention. It takes a lot of time. So
I've been at that office several times just to visit with Molly about different things. And about over half the time, she is in a meeting with the client. I mean, they always got something going on. It's awesome to see.
So thank you for your support.
Nice work, Molly. Any other questions? Thank you. All right, moving on, under planning and zoning, we have nuisance abatement. We're gonna rescind the nuisance abatement.
Mr. President, this is a property on West Seventh Street, burned about a year and a half, 2 years ago, right as you make it towards your corner property. That property, as we went through the nuisance process, changed hands a while back. The new property owners have been able to clear the property to Brandon's satisfaction, so I'm recommending that we rescind the abatement. The declaration of nuisance.
I would introduce resolution 2263 and move for adoption.
Resolution of rescinding prior resolution 2249, declaration of nuisance.
2263.
Or, no,
No.
we're rescinding 2249.
Oh, that's right. No, my error. Yeah.
What I said.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a resolution introduced by Councilman Dupierre and a second by Councilman Block. If there's any discussion, no discussion, please vote.
5 yes.
Resolution 2263 is adopted. Thank you. Moving on again, public transportation operating assistance application for fiscal year 2026 and fiscal year 2027, resolution 2264.
Start July 1, 2025. Basically, this is just our operating assistance for the next 2 years, that starts July 1. The total cost of the project for the 2 years is just under 700,000, with the city's portion, 298. This does include software, which is a scheduling dispatching software that also tracks numbers that they want at the federal and state level. They have made it mandatory for the systems to have it. If we do not purchase software, we will not get funding for operating. So this does include that. You get 10,000 of that cost is CARES money, and then the rest is 90/10. So, basically, I mean, it is up from last year, but a good chunk of that is between the software, the internet you have to be able to use it on the buses. And it's a guess because I don't have exact proposals, so the numbers are high, but you gotta make sure you have enough in there. So, any questions?
Is the title, it's 25-26, not 26-27?
Well, it starts July 1 of 25.
But
It goes through.
but you usually, a
Yeah.
fiscal year, you designate it by the ending of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Because
I
last
don't
year's,
know how they-
last year's
how they did
resolution
last
was
year.
24-25, so
Yeah.
this is 26-27,
Okay.
or 2 years ago was.
Right. 2 years ago.
It sounds like you've been pretty busy on the transport side.
The kids side, yeah. Kids keep us busy. If we didn't, there wouldn't be a need for public transportation hardly. I mean, it's a good chunk of what we do.
So do you see a pretty good drop then in the summertime or?
Yes.
Right.
I'm looking forward to the next 3 days.
Okay.
Well, St. Paul's and St. Luke still have school tomorrow, but public's out, so you know, it makes the bus roll a lot easier. The days when there's no school, it really drops off.
What percentage is it school versus other?
I haven't really calculated, but I would guess it's between 70 and 75% this school is.
At school?
Yeah. See, it's because how much is it to ride? Is it per,
It's $1.50 if you pay per boarding, or if you buy the tickets, it figures out to $1.20.
so you
Which, if we get this software, I'm probably gonna propose a little bit of difference in how we do our fares to encourage boarding a day in advance.
because what they run into for, a little over $1 to get your kid to and from school, it busies up public transport pretty heavily.
It does.
Cause you're running what, 3 or 4 routes on school days just from,
No, we only have 2 buses in the
but I mean,
van
like,
right
how
now.
many,
I
but you
mean,
make multiple trips too, don't you?
well, no, I mean, we only make 1 trip to Prairie View after school.
Right.
We do it, I mean, we go before school and after school. And then we do St. Luke's. The problem is St. Luke's won't dismiss our kids until they have their buses loaded for school. Which, especially right now, because we're down a bus, we have to drop kids before we can go to Prairie View because we had these kids lined up for when we had 3 buses and now we only have 2 buses and a minivan. So we're dropping kids before we can even go to Prairie View to pick up the rest of the kids that we need to. But, you know, it works.
How far out do you go to pick up the kids?
We only go a mile outside the city limits, but everybody, all the kids that we pick up are in city limits. We go to Johnson Drive and pick up is the furthest west. Start west and work our way. We don't have anybody really north other than on Fridays. We have a couple kids that go all the trailer
So-
work, but
so if
most of
you're-
it's here in town. I mean, it's,
So I heard you say if we didn't have the kids, we probably wouldn't need this program.
well, I mean, there's not as much usage. It used to be a lot. I mean, we don't take near as many to the senior center and I don't know why the numbers are down or, you know, I don't know what. I think the senior center numbers are down, period, but we don't take near the people that we used to take. We used to load a bus and take them to the senior center almost. Back in the day, I mean, we were still doing kids at that time too, but the usage there is down. There's just not as many elderly people. It doesn't seem like would use it as they used to.
There's
And I don't know
about
if it's
a dozen
because
right
people
now.
don't want to give up their driver's license,
No.
but, you know.
There's about a dozen regulars.
There's probably more than that, but I mean, you know, when you have 36 kids between 3 and 4 o'clock, hard to compare to some of the other numbers.
So that, I mean, is that a staffing issue then?
When I'm short a driver, yeah. When I was full staffed, it wasn't near as much of a problem, but you know, it's a little tougher.
I mean,
I've been tracking numbers like between 5 and 7. I mean, you know, it might be until we can find someone, we might need to look at possibly shortening our days and possibly even Saturdays aren't as busy as they used to be, so, you know.
so I guess what I'm asking is like, you're real busy in the morning during school opening, then the drivers aren't so busy and then.
The bus is usually, there's at least, I mean, right now, while I'm short a driver, I've been not having the staffing quite like I normally did. And that bus usually is running.
Yeah.
The majority of the time. There's not much time where the buses are running.
I'm amazed the school would have 75% of the traffic.
But I mean, we do preschool kid, you know, you do Prairie View, you do St. Luke's preschool, you do Head Start, you do TLC preschool out at Church of Christ, you got St. Paul's, you know, I mean. There's schools getting out at all different times, you know, we got 8 o'clock start, 11 o'clock dismissal. 12:15 start, 2:15 dismissal, 3 o'clock dismissal, clear to 3:25, so.
You know, it's one of those benefits that we talked about with the community, though. I mean, you have a safe option
Yeah,
to deposit your kids, knowing they're gonna safely
Well, there's
make it
parents
to a
that can't get away
destination.
from their job to go get the kids, so I mean, it is a good thing.
Yep, and it helps, you know, your workforce, because not everybody's, 8 to 5-er.
Exactly.
A lot of the regulars also schedule their rides knowing that they can around the school ride, so that kind of helps keep.
They do, they
some-
kind of know they know the schedule, and they're like, oh, we want to avoid that, I mean, not saying we don't do adults at the same time, because I mean. You know, I dropped off a school kid this afternoon out south and picked up a guy at Walmart. I mean, we're still servicing the others too, but you have to, you can't just dedicate it to school kids, but. When you have parents that do go ahead and schedule, then you work around it.
you're like a super Uber.
Super Uber, yeah,
Discount rate.
keep the wheels a rolling.
You- You ever have,
Right? Yeah, you won't find it for that cheap.
do you ever find any issues, you know, with kids riding or rowdy kids, or is it more or less pretty much everybody's on point because you'll kick them off if not?
They're kids. Oh, yeah, we have rowdy. I've suspended kids. I've called parents. Yeah. You know, I mean, the drivers don't see it all, you know, I've had people call and say, hey, this is what happened, and I'm like, okay, we'll deal with it. You know, I call parents. We talk to the kids. They either shape up or they're off for a while. And they get to try again, and as long as they can follow the rules, then. But yeah, oh yeah.
Do you find a lot of your time eaten up with that?
I do, I multitask, you have to. That's why I do everything on speakerphone, because I can keep doing other stuff while I'm taking a phone call. So,
I mean, because really, it's privileged to be able to be on this at that price point, so.
yeah.
Okay.
You raise your fares and your portion goes down, so I mean, it's, I looked at it because. If you don't have to deal with fares, but then it's like, okay, your numbers are gonna go up. Yeah, you get more funding, but then you're having more boardings and then you need more vehicles and you need more drivers, so. I quickly went away from that. They're not. What are you looking at?
I wasn't involved in the budgeting, but are these funds budgeted for this fiscal year?
Our,
Well,
this one
Oh,
goes
oh,
July
that
1
grant.
through
Yeah.
June 30. And the cities goes October 1, so it's kind of but yeah, I mean,
It's a pretty small portion of this.
these numbers are probably actually more inflated than what goes in our budget, just because. I would rather have this higher and not have to go back and say, oh, I under budgeted, I need more money. Then, the city budget is a little bit different, so I make sure it's covered in here so that I don't have to go back and ask for more. So more than likely, in a year's time, we're not gonna spend 109,000, but the city's portion is probably not gonna be that much.
So is that an annual cost or a 2-year cost?
This is 2 years, those numbers I gave you before the meeting were 2 years, yeah.
109 is 2 years.
No, yes, that's for 2 years, yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So our local funding is about 35 to 40,000.
In that budget,
Yeah, excluding, and then we have about 30,000 in ticket sales.
basically your ticket sales come off of your operation costs when they calculate what the federal, city and state portion is. And operating percentage is different than non-operating percentage. Operating costs, you don't get as much reimbursement as the non-operating. And the driver's wages are operating. So it's not an 80-20-10.
So we didn't budget any revenue for this.
they were scheduled to use cash. If you look at the end there in game. So
Oh,
so they were scheduled to use like. What's the difference?
Because the state had major issues with the revenue processing, the processing of
Cash,
the invoice, so
166.
they're like way behind.
I guess it was only a couple thousand, I think
Yeah.
it was more than that. That's been last year, it was.
I say there was one.
let's see how you end up.
How I end up.
And then you get how you end up fiscally at the end of the year without using any property tax or sales tax, and then you're gonna teach the rest of the departments.
Yeah, it depends on how the state reimburses, but like I said, they're behind, they're only on like October.
I would introduce resolution 2264 and move for its adoption.
A resolution to apply for state and federal funding for the city of Ogallala public transportation for fiscal year 26-27.
Second.
We have, second by, Councilman Dupierre. And there's no further discussion. Councilor, please vote.
Yes.
Resolution 2264 is adopted. Thanks, Coletta. Under water, request for proposal for repair and maintenance of city water tanks.
Mr. President, this is a maintenance contract for our water storage tanks. They require regular inspection. When they were inspected last year, we got a couple of proposals for multi-year maintenance contracts. This needs to go out for formal proposal. I have had the scope of work reviewed by our lead water operator, John Sauer. It's also been reviewed by People Service. And that scope of work is what we're putting out for proposal. It's spread out over 5 years, because that's just how we can, that's the most efficient way we can maintain our storage tank. And get them on a painting schedule. For maximum longevity of the asset.
I see no year 3 here. Is there nothing going to be done the third year?
I think, yeah, that's the off year.
Thank you.
This is is this with them doing the drones on the tank, or are they still diving them?
They're diving it. We had 2 inspections done last year. One, people just came by and they wanted to look at our tanks, so they inspected them for free, and we contracted for one. It depends on who gets the proposal.
I'll move to proceed with the request for proposals for repair and maintenance of city water tanks, 5-year project.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Laughlin, a second by Councilman Holstein. Proceed with the repair and maintenance of city water tanks. No further discussion. Council, please vote.
Five yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Report to city attorney. Report to city manager.
I do not either.
And it's not our time for council member reports unless someone has something they want to put out there. If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. And motion by Councilman Block and a second by Councilman Dupierre. Council, please vote.
Five yes.
Such a fun day, we should do it next Tuesday.
Motion carried. Am I remembering wrong?
Hey, gets me away from work.
Resolution